Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has now updated her Green New Deal, and we kind of want to break this down for you guys. Big picture, the framework of the new Green New Deal, or the updated Green New Deal, calls for generating 100% of the nation's power from renewable sources. It calls for making all buildings energy efficient and eliminating carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases, gas emissions from the transportation sector and industry, and it calls for all of that within 10 years. The Green New Deal also asks that politicians stop taking money from the fossil fuel lobby, which is good because the fossil fuel industry is very harmful to the environment. Now, notably missing, particularly something that the animal advocates of the world would point out, is that there is not a similar requirement to not take money from big ag or from animal agriculture. In fact, you go through like this full text document of the Green New Deal. It makes no mention at all. The word animal is literally not in there one time. So, it's something that's pretty curious coming from the Justice Democrats, that they would use this kind of political language. So where you might see some sort of a stance in terms of plant-based alternatives, which are obviously better for animals, better for the environment, better for human health, they refer to support of quote-unquote family farms. Now, this has become the sort of little dodge, the political rhetoric of the day to get around the divisiveness, or not even divisiveness, just negative connotations of factory farming. So everybody and their grandma is opposed to factory farming, even right-wingers, across the spectrum. Everybody, you hear factory farming, you're like, oh my God, that's medieval torture, that's horrible. It's really good that we as a society have come that far that is the case. But now we kind of have this new enemy in the terms of this flowery political rhetoric whereby you hear family farms, and then there's an association there. Obviously, they have all their marketing and PR folks doing their research on this, and you hear family farm, and you don't really connect that to factory farm. You connect that to old McDonald on the farm. You connect that to one nice little, red barn, and the chickens are wandering in the yard, and everything is nice and wonderful. When in fact, family farms can and almost always are factory farms. So don't let that distinction miss you in the way that they want to. This is actually really, let's call it what it is. This is a place where the Justice Democrats, where Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, where Bernie Sanders, across the spectrum, they're abandoning their principles. All right, they're completely selling out on everything that they say they stand for, one after another. I've had conversations with people. I've had a conversation with Allison Hartson, actually. She was a Senate candidate running against Dianne Feinstein in California. And I don't say this to call her out. I don't think she's unique in this regard, but she was a Justice Democrat candidate. And she says, yeah, we're not talking about animal agriculture for political reasons. All right? It's not because there's not a problem here. It's not because, we're somehow refuting the facts. There's anything in dispute about the fact that animals are treated horribly, about the fact that this is an environmental catastrophe, or that it's horrible for human health. We have the WHO declaring that processed meat is a carcinogenic substance. None of these facts are in dispute, and yet all of these facts are completely gone from any of the platform of the Justice Democrats, from the Green New Deal, from any of the speeches, any of the conversations that any of these folks are having. And it's not because they haven't been informed, okay? They're very well informed. The animal advocates of the world are an outspoken bunch. But bottom line is, this is just a complete neglect of their platform. So if we think of what do the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortezes of the world, the Bernie Sanders of the world, the Justice Democrats, who, by the way, I support. I was a local delegate for Bernie in Iowa in 2016. All right, so I'm with you most of the way. All right. But what do they say? What do they say about the establishment? What do they say about the establishment Democrats, the Hillary Clintons and the Barack Obamas, the Cory Bookers of the world? Well, they say that they speak in meaningless political platitudes. They say that they cater to the powerful, to the 1%. They say that they manipulate whatever media sources are available to them to kind of shift the narrative and to kind of silence dissenting voices. And what's ironic is that everything I just said is exactly what the Justice Democrats are doing when it comes to the issue of animal rights, when it comes to the voices of not the 1%, not the 0.1%, but literally elevating the human voices, which in terms of the individuals that have feelings on this planet are the 0.1% of living feeling individuals on this planet are of the human variety. And so you have all of these individuals who are just not even accounted for. So meaningless political platitudes, all right? Family farming and the absence of talking about animal agriculture, catering to the powerful. Once again, human beings, no mention of the impact on animals in terms of the environmental degradation, in terms of factory farming, completely lost on it. Manipulating the media available to them. This is an interesting one because the TYTs, the Young Turks of the world, Secular Talk, again, these are folks that I watch on a regular basis. Secular Talk is my personal favorite YouTube channel that I watch all the time, all right? But what they're constantly pointing out, and rightfully so, is that the establishment Democrats and certainly the Republicans are taking advantage of all the mainstream media outlets that are at their disposal to completely shift the narrative, to silence people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, to silence people like Bernie Sanders, to silence the Justice Democrat platform, when in fact they're doing the exact same thing, but with this so-called new media, all right? The Young Turks of the world, the Secular Talks of the world, that whole network. Occasionally a little sprinkling of something about animals, occasionally a little sprinkling of something about animal agriculture, but it's not in alignment with their political interests, so they're just refusing to go there. And if we stand for what we say we stand for, all right, if you're a supporter of the Justice Democrats, we got to be consistent with it, and we got to stand up for it wherever we see it, even if it includes going after TYT, even if it includes going after Secular Talk. We got to stand up for what's right. And the final thing is that they silence any real dissenting dialogue. And I don't think we'll save it for a future segment to go into detail on some of the things that TYT has kind of said. And once again, like a little token acknowledgement here or there to an animal rights investigation. But I mean, just it's an issue that really think about the number of individuals impacted, all right? The number of animals on factory farms. Think about the degree of their suffering. And again, the degree of the environmental degradation, the degree of greenhouse gas emissions in the animal agriculture sector, the public health crisis, all right? These little token gestures where they talk about it once or twice a year, that doesn't cut it, all right? And it's like they just feel like there's not much political power. Again, very reminiscent of what they say about the establishment Democrats. The vegans ain't going to do much about it. No one wants to hear from them. They're kind of annoying. Animals, whatever, bacon, love it. Don't give a damn. All right? So, this is a call to action. TYT, Secular Talk, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Bernie Sanders. Stand up, do better.